Greetings, it's Iain from RTO here. Welcome to Marathon Wednesday, and this week we've got a viewer's request, and it's a band I know nothing about until I put this band together. This video together, etc., etc. And they're Saga. Now they're a Canadian rock band from Oakville, Ontario, formed by bassist Jim Crichton and Welsh-born vocalist and keyboard player Michael Sadler. They've had numerous band changes. They were formed back in 1977 and they have had 22 albums. So this was a proper rabbit hole for me. I always love these challenges. And what do I think of them? They're okay. I wouldn't say they were going to be a band that I will listen to forever. I like some of their albums. Some of them are a little bit for me. But let's go and have a look at 22 albums by Saga. So, coming in at number 22, we've got the fifth album from 1983, and it is called Heads or Tails. You've got Michael Sadler on lead vocals and keyboards, Iain Crichton on guitar, Jim Gilmore lead keyboards and backing vocals and sax, Jim Crichton on the bass, Steve Negus on the drums. So the first track is called The Flyer. It's a typical sort of 80s smooth guitar, smooth drums. Yeah, it's just very typical 1980s. Catwalk is an absolute shocker. Cheesy keyboards, horrible production on it. No, I just didn't like that one. The sound of strangers. Now the beginning of this one reminds me of 10cc's The Dean and I thought, oh, this is promising. Then it goes into the 80s sound. The writing, one of the worst songs on the album. It's just lifeless, nothing to me. Intermission, another of those 80s insipid ballads. Social Orphan, oh dear, it's too much 80s production on that. It just is a shame. The Vendetta, overproduced 80s again. I just couldn't do anything with it. I listened to it a few times and give up. Scratching the Surface. Now this one isn't too bad. It's probably the best of the worst on this album. The Pitchman just sounds like the other ones. So that 80s overproduced sound. Unfortunately, there was nothing on this album that I really liked. Even Searching the Scratch is the best of the worst, but it's still bad. So I'm going to give this a 0 because I just didn't like it one little bit. Okay, coming in at number 21. The eighth album from 1989, and it's called The Beginner's Guide to Throwing Shapes. Love the title. It was the second album without long-time drummer Steve Negus and keyboardist Jill Gilmore, who temporarily left the band over management concerns. I tried to look into that a bit more and I couldn't find anything. So this is Michael Sadler vocals and keyboards, Jim Crichton bass keyboards and syntax, Iain Crichton guitar, syntax and banjo, and Kurt Kress does the drumming on this. How do I look? Now this is it's a pop song. Sounds a little bit like Level 42. The guitar's not as smooth as the earlier 80s the sound, but it's still not the best track. Starting all over. I will give it these guys can sing. I mean, Michael Sadler has got a great voice. Pretty the Songs doesn't justify his wonderful singing, really. Shape, it's not that brilliant. It's got that horrible 80s keyboard sound that I just detest. An electronic sort of drum on it, nah. Odd Man Out. There's some interesting keyboard work on here, which isn't too bad. The 90s. This is as cheesy gets. Electronic drums, cheesy sounds. No. Scarecrow. I really struggle with this. It's just, I really don't like this 80s sound. You know that, and I'll always Yeah, as I am. The production is all over the top, smoothed out. Let's have some raw music. Waiting in the Wings. It's got the sequency keyboard, the Simmons drum sound now. Giant, the last track. Definitely not too bad. It is very level 42 again. That bass line is really funky. I don't know if they were trying to be level 42, but it has got a really good solo on it, and it is probably the best track on the album. To be honest, there's not much difference between albums 22 and 21. Giants is a good track. It's a bit more poppy, so I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 1 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 20, the 7th album from 1987. Wildest Dreams. It was the first drummer without Steve Negus and Jim Gilmore. So this is Michael Sadler, Jim Crichton, Ian Crichton and Kurt Kress again. First track on here is called Don't Put Out the Fire. Still got the overproduced 80s sound on it, but the guitar sound a lot crisper, and it is the best track on the album. Yeah, the production's not as heavy on that one. Only time will tell. It's alright, I suppose. It's pleasant enough. Wildest Dreams. I just find these 80s drum beats plastic. I don't like Simmons drums at all. Chase the Wind, a bit repetitive and plastic. Nothing special about it. We've been here before. Yes, we have. It's more 80s dribble. Although it has got a really good guitar solo on it. I'll give it that one. The Way of the World. There's certainly a pattern for the Saga 80s albums. Sequencing keyboard, Simmons drums, and smooth riffs. Angel, another of them insipid 80s ballads, not for me. Don't Look Time, worst track on the album. It's everything about the 80s I hate. Okay, another album I struggle to. There's one decent track on here. Some of the guitar solos are pretty good though, so that's why I've put it above the others, and I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 2 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 19, we have the 6th album. Released in 1985, Behaviour. Michael Sadler, Jim Crichton, Jim Gilmore, Ian Crichton and Steve Negus. Listen to Your Heart. For some, a track that's written in the middle of the 80s, it's not too bad. It's not as overproduced as some of the songs. It's a little bit more simple, and you can see that they're not too bad musicians either. It's not too bad, that one. Take a chance. I don't like the drums on this because it's that Simmons awful sound, the cheesy keyboard, but I do like the bass line. It's excellent. What do I know? Some nice touches on the guitar on this, but it's the drums and keyboards that sort of bring it down. Misbehaviour. I purely like this one on the guitar solo. It's really good. It's not got that smoothness to it. It was just nice to let Ian Crichton loose on that one, and I think this is the best track. Still got the cheesy keyboard on it. 9 Lives of Miss Midi. The keyboard sound is really good. It's an instrumental. It's got a mystique ambient feel to it, and it is not too bad. You and the Night, the instrumental bit in this is okay. It really brightens up the track because it's as limp as an old piece of old lettuce, that song. Awful, apart from the keyboard bit. Out of the Shadows. I like the start of this. It's eerie, it's ambient. I thought, oh, we're going to get a good song. No, it falls into another 80s plastic tune. Easy Way Out. Now this is just that typical rock pop sound from the 80s. Although it's that sound, it's got the riffs quite good. It's a little bit more beefy than the rest of the tracks. Promises, it's a sort of made for MTV sound. Now, Here I Am. The start of this is really good. The riff's good, the ambience, and then it automatically flies into cheesy stuff and 80s nonsense. Goodbye, Once Upon a Time, smooth guitar riffs, not very good. I would say, out of these 80s albums, I think this is probably the better one. It's got some promises on there. There's some tracks where they have let them loose a little bit, so I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 3.5. Okay then, coming in at number 18, we got the 10th album from 1994, Steel Umbrellas. And the songs were written for a US TV series called Cobra. So it's the reformation of the classic lineup and the first to feature 2 songs sung by Jim Gilmore. So you've got Michael Sadler lead vocals and backing vocals, Iain Crichton guitars, Jim Gilmore keyboards, and he sings on Shake That Tree and Say Goodbye to Hollywood. Jim Crichton on the bass, Steve Negus on the drums, Paola Matoi, Fred Wright, Stu the Rooster, Sidoris on backing vocals. The first track is called Why Not. As I said, you know, they're quite poppy. This is more poppy than rocky, but it's still not too bad. I don't mind that one. You Were Never Alone. I do like the guitar work in this. It's not too bad. Bet on This. This has got that sort of John Hall, Daryl Hall and John Oates feel to it. I quite like that track. You know, it's got a nice blend to it. Shake That Tree. Even though Jim sings it, it's one of the worst tracks in the album. It seems like they've gone back to the 80s. It just, unless the program was set in the 80s, I don't know. Password Pirate, access code, password pirate. I think it's purely written for the TV series. I couldn't. Doesn't make any sense to me. I Walk With You. It's a wishy-washy ballad. Not my cup of tea. Push It. Just sound like a bit of soundtrack music. It's all right. Steamroller. I like the riff at the beginning, and then it goes down the pan. Say Goodbye to Hollywood. Another insipid, cheesy ballad with a horrible keyboard on it. Feed the Fire. I don't mind the funky bass on it, but it's one of the better songs. As I said, this is a soundtrack. You know, some of the music might fit the scene, and I've never seen this, so it's got some. If it's a soundtrack, you know, it sounds okay as a soundtrack, so I should give that a 4 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 17, we have the 22nd album released in 2021. So it's the most current album, and it's called Symmetry. And it contains acoustic versions of previous release songs and some in a form of melodies put together with new interludes. So it's Michael Sadler on vocals, Iain Crichton on guitars, Jim Gilmore clarinet, accordion, piano, Jim Crichton bass, Mike Thorne is on the drums, and Shane Cook on fiddle, Stephanie Saki on cello, Beth Silver cello, and Serene Sadler on backing vocals. So you got Pitchman, which is on Head or Tails, and it sounds a lot better as an acoustic track than on the other album. The Time to Feel Better, which is in Time to Go, The Perfectionist, Where I'd Be Feeling Better, from Silent Night, Saga Generation, not too bad. Images, Chapter 1 from Images at Twilight, sounds really nice. Always There, the best on here, House of Cards album. Prelude number 1 from is a new beast. It's a nice interlude bit from Iain Crichton. Say Goodbye to Hollywood. Certainly better than the version on Steel Umbrellas. Then we get Prelude number 2, which is more interlude. So the right side of the other hall, which is Footsteps in the Hall on the other side, You're Right. All from Trust. That sounds all right. Le Forêt Amonaise, a little new piece from Jim Gilmore. Wind Him Up from Worlds Apart, not too bad. No Regrets from Worlds Apart, chapter 5. Okay, and then from Saga, we've got Tired World. I think some of these unplugged sound better than the originals. But so I'm going to give this an RTO rating of 5 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 16. Got their 15th album from 2003, and it is Marathon. Iain Crichton on guitar, and it's the final album that's features Steve Negus on drums, Jim Gilmore, Michael Sadler on lead vocals, and Jim Crichton on bass and keyboards. Marathon is the title track, and it's the first track. It's not too bad. It's got a nice riff to it. Pretty solid track. How Are You? Although this was recorded in 2003, it sounds like it comes from 1983, but the guitar solo is okay. It's a little bit more crisper. Breathing Lessons is next. Isn't too bad. It's got a quite rhythm to it. I like the vocals on it. As I said, these guys can sing. It really does show their singing skills on that. Hands Up. Now, I love the keyboards on this. The drumming is still a bit too smooth and a bit poppy, but it's not overproduced. Streets of Gold, chapter 14. Not too bad for their later stuff. Pretty solid track. I don't mind that. Blind Side of the Heart. It's a bit wishy-washy for me. Return Forever. It's got some nice little riffs in this. It's a bit more heavier, and it's got a really good bass line. Not too bad. You Know I Know, chapter 12. Wish they'd just ditch that cheesy keyboard from the 80s. Put it in the bin. Apart from that, it's a pretty good track. Too Deep, best track on here. It's got a daft decent riff in it. Pretty good guitar. Not a bad track. Rise and Shine. Now they've gone a bit dancey. Doesn't suit them. Worlds Apart. Pleasant enough track to end the album. And this isn't a bad album. It's got some good tracks on it, but I'm not keen on, so I shall give that one an RTO ranking of 5.3. Okay, coming in at number 15 from 2012, the 20th album, 2020. It marked the return of original singer Michael Sadler. So Michael's on the vocals, Iain Crichton guitars, Jim Gilmore keyboards, Jim Crichton, saying his name wrong, I don't know if it's Crichton on bass, and we've got Brian Dunia on drums. They've got a bit of a Spinal Tap thing with drummers, haven't they? So the first track, 6 Feet Under. Got a good riff. It's the production that lets it down, but it has got an excellent guitar solo on it. I like that. Anywhere You Want to Go, the best track on here. It's got a real funky guitar, and it's not cheesy. It's a very good vocal for Michael. I do like that track. One of the better tracks from this band. Ellery. I just think this band cannot get away from the 80s cheesy keyboards. Apart from that, it's a pretty good track. Spin It Again. Isn't too bad. Very soft rock sound. Even the keyboard sounds okay on that. It's sort of very soft rock, or as they call it out in America, yacht rock. You know, it's okay, pleasant enough. Another Day Out of Sight reminds me of when Asia had John Payne in charge, and I don't mind it because I'm one of these people that doesn't mind John Payne's Asia, so it's a pretty solid track. One of These Days, ditch that cheesy keyboard at the beginning and it's okay. The drums just need a little touching, but it's a strong song. Ball and Chain, catchy riffs, one of the better songs on this album as well. I do like that one. Lost for Words, it's one of those ballads. It's all right. Show and Tell, some really good riffs on this. Really think probably the second best track on the album. And riffs are really good. Till the Well Runs Dry, pleasant enough. Reminds me a bit of Cats in Space. sound, so it's not too bad. I don't mind this album. It's not so bad. At least it's got some tracks I like on it, and so I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 5.5. Need a drink already. Okay, coming in at number 14, we have the 9th album from 1993, The Security of Illusion, and it remarks the return of keyboardist Jim Gilmore and Steve Negus, whom had left the band in '86 due to management concerns. That dark skeleton in the cupboard. Michael Sadler is on vocals, Iain Crichton on guitar, get his name right, Iain. Jim Gilmore, Jim Crichton on bass, and Steve Negus. It starts off with a little introduction called On Track. It's very French, it's got an accordion. There's a bit of chatter in the bar. And it goes straight into a track called Mind Over Matter, and it's pretty good. I love the guitar riff on there, and what a drum from Steve Negus. Really good. He's able to unharness the smoothness. Very good track. Once is Never Enough isn't too bad. Some lovely little bits of piano in this. It really is a nice song. Alone Again Tonight, not too bad. Ballad, it's not too bad. It's not cheesy. It's pretty decent. I'll Leave It in Your Hands, best track on the album. Just forget that cheesy keyboard at the beginning that they can't just ditch. But the bass line and the riffs are brilliant. It's a very, very good vocal from Michael. I like that track. The Security of Illusion. There's some really nice guitar on here. Halfway through, it's got a nice tone. I don't know, it really stands out. Get rid of the 80s production, and then you've got some fine songs on these albums. Stand Up. I love that opening riff. It really grabs you. It's meaty. And then there's a bit of chanting in it that sort of spoils it. It's a shame because it is a really good track. Days Like This. It's a brilliant piece of bass work on this. It sounds a bit like Calling All the Heroes. It bites as well. I like the drumming on this. Viola is a little short instrumental, and it's on the piano. Not a viola. No Man's Land, not too bad. I quite like this. It's a very sort of FM UK version and Cats in Space, so it's a pretty good little track, that is. Without You, not a bad song to end the album on. It's got a really super guitar solo on, and I do like the drumming halfway through. It's nice, crisp drumming. Not a bad album. I think, you just wonder if they'd have done some of them 80s albums with this sort of production, if they'd be better. I think they would. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 5.6. Okay, coming in at number 13, we've got the 21st album, and it is Sagacity. And it features Michael Sadler on lead vocals, Iain Crichton on guitars, Jim Gilmore on keyboards, Jim Crichton, I keep calling him Crichton for some reason, bass, and Michael Thorne on the drums. Yet another drummer. Let It Side, not a bad track. I love the bass line from Jim, pretty good. A great vocal from Michael. He is a pretty good solo piece, and his vocals on that track and the guitar solo is pretty good. Vital Signs, we can't ditch the cheesy keyboard, but the riffs are good, and the bass line is terrific on that track. It Doesn't Matter Who You Are. Michael's singing is, it's a little bit off. I don't know did he have a cold that day? I don't know, but it's not my favourite track on the album. Go With the Flow. There's some really nice guitar work on it. The drumming from Mike Thorne is great. There's that little bit of acoustic guitar that gives it a little bit of ambience at the beginning. Press 9. I love the start of this. You get the telephone tones and some lovely harmony singing on this, and the acoustic guitar is really good. Wake Up. The bit at the beginning is really weird, but the riff is super. Great little track. My favourite one on here, though, is a thing called Don't Forget to Breathe. The beginning riff is lovely. The solo is terrific. It's a solid track. The Further You Go. Well, another track that's not too bad. It's got some nice tones, especially them keyboard tones. Really are good on that. On My Way. This has got probably the best keyboard solo on the album. It's really super new prog sound. It's got some swirly bits, as I call them. The guitar solo works well with it as well. Two Sides isn't bad. Some more great keyboard work on this. Look, it's got a bit of electronic drum in there, but it doesn't spoil the track. It actually enriches it a little bit. I'll Be Me. Considering the rest of the album, this is a bit limp. It's a bit like that bit of wet lettuce. Not a bad album. Last track's a little bit, but on the whole, pretty solid album. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 5.8. Okay, coming in at number 12, we've got the 16th album from 2004, Network. So it's Michael, Jim Iain, Jim Gilmore on keyboards. Another drummer, Christian Simpson. I said it was a bit of a Spinal Tap there on their drummers. First track, On the Air. Not a bad track to open up with. Some really nice keyboard runs from Jim Gilmore. The drumming from Christian is really good on this as well. Keep It Real. Not a bad track. The drumming is a little bit tinny and hollow, but that's made up with the bass and the nice guitar work. I'm Back. Great vocal from Michael. Absolutely spot on. What a good track that is. If I Were You. It's a real nice soft rock track that is. Really nice melody. Outside Looking In. Again, I've mentioned before, it sounds like very much like John Payne's Asia. Very intricate keyboard and guitar work on that. Don't Look Now. Well, it's an okay track. It's got some nice guitar bits on that, I must admit. Live at 5. Solid track. You know, it's pleasant to listen to. My favourite track on here is one, Back Where We Started. I really like the drumming on this. Really is strong. It really guides the track. Believe. Some lovely piano on this. It's a ballad and it's got an excellent guitar solo and it's not too bad. And the last track, Don't Make a Sound. Another solid track to end the album. I love the bit in the middle. The keyboard solo is really good. Good album. I've got one criticism though. Some of the drum mix they got wrong with that snare. It sounds too tinny and hollow, but when they got it right, it sounded really good. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 11, the 17th album from 2006, Trust. And it's the first album to feature former Helix drummer Brian Doerner. Helix were a sort of hair metal-y band from the 80s. So you got Michael Sadler on vocals, Ian Crichton on guitars, Jim Crichton on bass, Jim Gilmore on keyboards, and Brian Doerner on drums. The first track, That's As Far As I'll Go. Pretty solid track. Great bass line from Jim on that. Love it, that track actually. Back to the Shadows. Beefy bass line again, some nice riffs. The guitar bit is fantastic in the middle. I'm Okay. Apart from the great drumming from Brian, who's a really good drummer, the keyboard work from Jim on this is wonderful. A little bit of piano, excellent track. Time to Play is next. It's got some nice tones, it's not too bad. My Friend, favourite track on here. The guitar work once again is really strong. It's got some really nice harmony vocals on it. Really nice track. Trust, the title track. The keyboard underlying from Jim is wonderful. It's different phases of tones on the keyboards, different styles, and that piano bit is really good as well. It's Your Life. Some strong guitar riffs. They're powerful. And again, Jim comes up with some lovely keyboard runs on that. Footsteps in the Hall. Once again, have got some lovely keyboard on it. Super track. Ice in the Rain, second favourite track from this album. Oh, it's just that bass line is thumping. Great vocal from Michael as well. You Were Right. There is just a lovely bit of guitar and keyboard about 3/4 of the way through. Superb track. On the Other Side. Good track to end the album. Just solid. This is an excellent album. I think the drumming from Brian on it is really good. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.3. So we've got to the top 10. So coming in at number 10 is the 18th album from 2007, and it's called 10,000 Days. It was recorded after Michael said he had explained he would leave the band for family reasons. The title therefore alludes to the 30 years of Sadler had been part of Saga, which roughly added up to 10,000 days. He did leave, but he would return to the fold 4 years later. So Michael Sadler, Iain and Jim Gilmore on the keyboards and Brian on the drums. So the first track, Lifeline. This is a little bit different for them. It's a little bit more mellow, but it's got a great riff with some great intricate bass work on it. Book of Lies. I love the start of this. I love them little half notes when you don't put your fingers down on the frets. It gives that lovely sound. Really adds to the track. Sidewise, second favourite track on here. Some good meaty riffs on it. Great track. Can't You See Me Now. Some great guitar work on this album from Iain. He's a really good guitarist when he gets the chance to play. Really good. Then we have Cork and Tellus. Some really proggy sort of track. The swirling keyboards. That time signature on the drums is excellent. Really strong track. More Than I Deserve. I think Jim Gilmore's keyboard work on this is fabulous. He is a really good keyboard player. Sound Advice, my favourite track on here. Apart from Ian's great guitar work, the drumming from Brian is absolutely 10,000 Days. It's quite a nice track. It's, you know, the best bit though is the piano bit, which is nice. It's a really nice song. And the last track, It Never Ends. Good track to end the album. Uplifting, some lovely keyboard. Yeah, pretty good album. You know, Michael's last for a little while. You know, had to go and do what he did. But I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.6. Okay, coming in at number 9, 14th album from 2001, House of Cards. Michael, Iain, Jim Gilmore, Jim on the bass, and Steve Negus is on the drums. God Knows. There's a really nice little bit of keyboard from Jim on this, and the riffs from Iain are super. Very good vocal from Michael. Good opening track. The Runaway. I think this is one of the heaviest tracks for them. I like the start. It feels like a steam engine pulling away. The sound they got, it really is good. Let me get my favourite track from this album, Always There. I think the guitar work sounds really good. It's got a really good sound, and that little bit of keyboard that sort of lays just under the guitars really gives it a really good tone. Then we get Ashes to Ashes, Ashes to Ashes. Great bass line. Very neo-prog, this track. Really good. I do like it. Once in a Lifetime. Great vocal from Michael for a start. I do like the riff on this. It's really catchy. Only Human. There's a little bit of acoustic guitar at the beginning, which is really nice. Then the bass comes in and drives the song along. Then some lovely keyboard bits put on it as well. That's How We Like It. Not the best track on here. It just doesn't have the same ring as the rest. It's a little bit of a filler track for me. Then we get this little instrumental called Watching the Clock. It's Jim on the piano, and it's fantastic. We'll Meet Again. Again, Jim's piano playing is lovely. Solid drumming from Brian. Super track. Money Talks. Very Mike and the Mechanics. I do like Brian's drumming on it. House of Cards, title track. You've got the beginning, it sounds like a bit of a musical box, sort of, you know, the ones that open up and all that sort of thing. And then the bass comes in, brilliant. Pretty solid track from top to bottom. There's not really a bad track on this, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.8. Okay, coming in at number 8 is the third album from 1980, Silent Night. So it's Michael, Iain, Jim and Steve. First track, Don't Be Late. It's very 1980 sound. The keyboard is really good. Some great drumming from Steve. Do like this track. What's it going to be? Dominated by Steve Nikas' drums. Jim Gilmore's keyboard is exceptional. The bass line from Jim Crichton is really good as well. It's a solid track. Time to Go. Not my favourite track on here. It's a bit whimsical. Yeah, a bit limp. Compromise, my favourite track on here. It's a good little rock number. The drumming from Steve is fabulous. Chunky riffs as well. Too Much to Lose. This isn't too bad. Some lovely harmony singing on this. I do like that. Help Me Out. It's got a little bit of jazz in this, and I like it, especially the drumming from Steve. It's got that jazzy sound, and the piano work from Jim is lovely. Someone Should, quirky keyboards, very new wave sound of the early 80s. And the last track's Careful Where You Step, quite good. That sort of new vibe, the guitars and keyboards. Isn't a bad album. It's got some interesting tracks on here. You know, you got to remember this is 1980, started like the new wave period. And I think I've put it high up because they were pushing boundaries a bit here for them. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 7, the second album from 1979, Images at Twilight. Michael Sadler, Iain Crichton. We've got Greg Chad on the keyboards, Jim Crichton on bass, and Steve Nikas on the drums. It's Time. It's got one of the best intros from their songs. The keyboard work is great here from Greg. It's a really good track. And then it goes into another good track, my favourite. It's called See Them Smile. I love this. The bass and the keyboard and the guitar solo, really good. Lots of little keyboard stubs from Greg on that. Slow Motion. This is it reminds me of Sparks. Some of their outlandish stuff. It's weird in places. It's pretty good though. You're Not Alone. There's some great little stabby guitar riffs on there, and you get the same as well. If you're not getting a guitar stab, you're getting this little keyboard that comes in. Not a bad track. Take It or Leave It. It's got the best guitar solo on the album. The singing's a little bit off, but it's got the best guitar solo on. Images. I love Greg's quirky keyboards on this. It really brightens up the track. Hot to Cold. Very poppy. It's all right. Mouse in the Maze, very interesting track. Great vocal for Michael. That underlying keyboard run through it is most impressive. Pretty solid album. I've never heard this band until I put these together, and you know, this is not long enough. I was quite impressed with this album, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay, coming in at number 6, we've got the fourth album, released in 1981, and it's called Worlds Apart. Michael is on lead vocals and synthesizers. Iain is on the guitar. Jim is on lead synthesizer and keyboards. Jim's on the bass, and Steve is on the drums, of course. On the Loose. I really like the beginning of this. Very quirky. The keyboard runs are brilliant. You've got two fine keyboard players in the mix there and making it really good. Winding up. The sound was starting to change, but the drumming on this is good. It's a great vocal. My favourite track from this one is Amnesia. One of my favourite tracks by the band. It's got them sort of keyboard elements of new wave, and the vocal is very Brian Ferry for Michael. I like that. Very, very good. Framed, too poppy, changing their sound a little bit. Not a big fan of that one. Time's Up, it's all right, bit limp in places. The Interview, I like this. The drumming on it is really good. It's got a super groove. No Regrets, second favourite track on it. The keyboards are very good. It's got a very ambient sound, and it's a great vocal from Michael. Conversations. Now this has got like an electronic bass sound of it. It's really different, but it really adds to the track. No Stranger, one of the more popular songs. This album was, well, I think when they started to change a little bit. There are a couple of tracks that are going down that route, but the rest of the album is really good. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, coming in at number 5 is the 13th, and it is Full Circle. This marks the beginning of the second round of chapters, whatever. They do these chapter things. So it's Michael Sattler on lead vocals and keyboards, Jim Gilmore on the keyboards, Iain Crichton on the guitar, Steve Negus on drums, and Jim Crichton on the bass and acoustic guitar. Remember When is the first track. It's chapter 9. I like the riff on here, and I love that brassy keyboard sound they've got on this. It's really good. The One, my favourite track on here, it's got a really gritty riff at the beginning. It stays all through the track. Some lovely piano work on this as well. Follow Me, kids singing on it, cheesy lyrics, nah. Uncle Albert's Eyes, second favourite track on here, very proggy. The bass line is super. Some nice guitar work on that. Home, I love how you get the keyboard and the guitar sort of playing off each other. The vocal comes in from Michael, really good track. Don't Say Goodbye, nice sort of gentle track with a nice ambience. Don't mind that track at all. Time Bomb, one of them gritty tracks on here. Great vocal from Michael. The riffs are really good and the keyboard bits are even better. Not This Way, lovely acoustic guitar. That's a very gentle track and I do like it. A Night to Remember, Michael's vocals is wonderful. We've got some lovely keyboard. It's a really good track. And Goodbye, a real super atmospheric track to end the album. Lovely guitar, so that's a great vocal from Michael. This is a real enjoyable album. There are one or two tracks on there a bit cheesy, but most of them are absolutely stunning. So I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay, coming in number 4, we have the debut from 1978, and it's the only album to feature original keyboardist Peter Rochon, and it's just called Saga. So we've got Michael Sattler on lead vocals and keyboards, Iain Crichton on guitars, Peter Rochon on keyboards, Jim Crichton on bass, Steve Negus on drums. First track, How Long. I love this opening track. A little bit, there's a bit of it that actually sounds like Human League's Don't You Want Me Baby. But it's okay. I like that. Humble Stance. The sound of this sounds like that. It's got that electric piano. It's got that super tramp. It's one of my favourite album tracks off the album. Climbing the Ladder. This reminds me so much of Rick Wakeman, what he was doing at the time then. Wonderful keyboard runs from Peter. Very, very good. Will It Be You? Another quirky keyboard runs. The drumming from Steve is brilliant on that. Perfectionist, a lovely track dominated by Peter's keyboard and wonderful keyboard work. Give 'Em the Money, interesting track. Bass line is super. Electric piano, and it's got a really groove. It's near enough disco. Ice Nice, one of my favourite tracks by this band, and it's all down to Peter's keyboard work. Absolutely brilliant. Tiled World, excellent bass lines and guitars. Another great album track and it's a great one to end the album. I think this was a really good debut album. It's got some freshness. It's got some lovely P2 keyboards on it. It's a shame. I wonder what would have happened if he stayed with the band, because his keyboard work on this is excellent. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.8. Okay, coming in at number 3, we've got The Human Condition. It's the 19th album from 2009. And it's the only studio album which the group's original lead vocalist, Michael Sadler, does not appear. He was briefly replaced by Rob Morati. So he's on the vocals, Iain Crichton on vocals, Jim Crichton on the bass, Jim Gilmore on keyboards, and Brian Dernier on the drums. The first track is called The Human Condition. The highlight on here is Jim's keyboard work. Excellent. And this guy, Rob Morati, is a good singer, and it's not a bad track. Step Inside, probably Rob's best vocal on this album. It's really nice, strong. Brian's drumming is solid. Ian's guitar work is just fabulous on this track. Hands of Time, my favourite track on here. It's so ambient. It's got some shimmery keyboards and a really strong vocal from Rob. Avalon, another strong track. Jim's keyboard work on here is fabulous. And you got the other Jim's bass line is super as well. A Number with a Name. Again, it's a really good track. It's got a bit of jazz prog fusion. I like the middle bit. It's really good, and it's got an excellent guitar solo. Now Is Now. Probably the weakest track on the album. Doesn't ring the same as the others. For me, it's just a little bit lacking something. Crown of Thorns. Love the riffs on this. It's a really good vocal from Rob, and it's sort of that modern day progressive rock. Excellent track. You Look Good to Me. Absolutely killer opening riff. The drumming is really good. It goes back to Brian's Helix days. That really solid thumping stuff, and it's a great track to end the album. A very good album. Rob did a great job on here. There's some cracking tracks on here, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 2, we have the 12th album, and it's called The Pleasure and the Pain. And it's the only album that featured Glenn Sobel on the drums, yet another drummer. So it's Michael Sadler on lead vocals, Ian Crichton on guitars, Jim Gilmore, Glenn Sobel on the drums, as I said, and Jim Crichton on the bass. Heaven Can Wait, a really good opening track. Some nice key work from Jim as ever. Ian's guitar work is sublime on this. Nice drumming on here from this Glenn bloke as well. How Do You Feel? This is heavy. It's one of the heaviest tracks by Saga. Great vocal from Michael. Solid track. Welcome to the Zoo, another solid track. Really heavy again. This is one of the heaviest albums for tracks. Got some real heavy tracks on there. Then we have Where's My Money. It's all over the place. It's the worst track. It's not got much cohesion. Then we have another version of You're Not Alone. I like the original, but this is even better. I think it's got a lot more guts in this. Then we do a version of Taxman by the Beatles. Not a very bad choice. That's all I will say. You Were Made For Me, an excellent song. Great riffs. I like that. Gonna Give It All To Ya. Brilliant track. Even though it's all over the place, it's just got some great riffs on it. Fantastically Wrong. Another heavy track. Great drumming from Glenn. And then Pleasure and the Pain. It's an acoustic number to end the album, and it's really not. There's a couple of tracks are a little bit, but the rest of the album, it's one of the heaviest albums this band ever made. And I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8.3. Okay, but my number 1 album, and I think this is a super album, is Generation 13. It's inspired by the 1993 book The 13th Generation by American authors Neil Hall and William Strauss. The book says people were born between 1961 and 1981 are America's 13th generation, with a generation reoccurring every 20 to 25 years from the American Revolution, whatever. But I like it. So you've got Michael Sadler on lead vocals and pipe organ, Iain Crichton on guitars, Jim Gilmore on keyboards, Jim Crichton on bass, Steve Negus on the drums, Mary Newland backing vocals, and each people play characters in this. Jeremy is played by Michael, Morty is played by Roger Summers, the father as a teenager, and Mr. Monger, Michael Sadler, the Barker, Steve Negus, Jeremy's sister Penny Crichton, so it's another relation of the Crichton family, the orphan master Michael Sadler, lots of people. Jim Gilmore plays Sam on a good day, sarcastic son Jim Crichton. So the first one's called Chances Are Number One. It's a nice little short track with some nice piano, a little bit of keyboard, and a very good vocal from Michael. Generation 13 Theme 1. It's an instrumental, brilliant piece of music. The guitar work from Iain on this is super. Jim's brilliant on the keyboards as well. All Will Change, Goodbye and Good Luck. Piano, guitar, short but poignant, a brilliant vocal from Michael. Then we get The Cross, Home at number 3. Really nice piece of music. I love the bass on this, and Michael's vocal is so moving. Danger Whistle, which is a spoken, it's whispery, it's scary, but there's a little bit of keyboard that adds that dramatics to it. Then we get Leave Her Alone. Jim's bass line is brilliant. The whole track is full of angst and mystique. I'll Never Be Like You. A short piece, some lovely Hammond organ, 43 seconds, but it's so rich, and a pure vocal from Michael. My Name is Sam. It's a 35-second piece. It feels like a ghost here. The vocal is real scary. And then my favourite song on here is the title track, The 13th Generation. The drumming is wonderful from Steve. Strong track, great solo. Then we get The Cross, number 2. Jim's Gilmore's keyboards are wonderful. Another dynamic vocal from Michael. The Learning Tree. Proper prog this is. Michael's vocals are good. The keyboards are swirly. I'll Never Be Like You, number 2. Strings are in this. You know, it's just wonderful. Then we have this little short instrumental called Snake Oil. Very strange, but mystique. Hope You're Feeling Better, The Test. The church organ at the beginning, this is rich, and the riffs come in, it really is dynamic. My Name is Sam, Your Time Is Up. This character Sam is really scary. He's really evil in this. It is very, very dramatic. Then we get Generation 13, theme number 2, another instrumental. This is an instrumental version of Generation 13. Absolutely brilliant. You really hear the keyboards on that. Where Are You Now? Another short piece. Acoustic guitars, gentle keyboard, really good. Then we have Screw 'Em. Brilliant musicianship. What a guitar solo for me, and on that. No Strings track, very melodic. The bass line really drives this. It's got a bluesy feel to it, and it's a very good vocal from Michael. All Will Change, It's Happening to Me. Jim Gilmore and Michael, it's just a short piece with a lovely keyboard. It's very solemn. Michael really shows that in his vocal. The Victim starts off again with a church organ and goes into a great track. Great bass line on that. Then we got One Small Step, which is spoken and instrumental. It's grandeur. The keyboards and the keyboard and the guitar work well together. Sam's New Friend, which is an instrumental with some spoken. The vocal bit is really good. The orchestral is giving it that grandeur. The guitar bit halfway through is fabulous. Then we get We Hope You're Feeling Better. Short piece, something's building up here. The orchestral comes in, it just builds and builds. And the last track is, chances are, and like most epics, you've had the previous bit where Hope You're Feeling Better, it's building up the conjuncture, and then we get this gentle bit, it fades out gradually, and the vocal from Michael is superb. Okay, this is absolutely top drawer. The concept is good. Some great playing on here. It's one of those storytelling. You need to listen to this from start to finish to really appreciate. I really enjoyed this, and this is one of my discoveries of the year. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. So there we go. A band that I'd never heard of, as I said. There are some really good albums here. I mean, I love Generation 13. So thank you. We can't remember who asked us to do this one. So thank you very much. Okay, that's all for today. We'll be back tomorrow. And what have we got for you tomorrow? Well, we have got a busy day. We've got a birthday top 10, 5th birthday for Ralph. The last of this batch of viewers' picks. And another one from Nick. And it is L7. And Smell the Magic, and Calls of Rebellious, so it goes. And then what we got tomorrow? We got a trip down memory lane. We're going to look at the top 10 singles on the 30th of October 1960. So have a great day. Bye for now.